June, Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, mark another year of living under Israel's brutal military occupation, now more than a half-century old. This occupation is characterized by the violent theft of Palestinian land and resources, racial profiling and targeting of civilians, mass incarceration and torture, and more. For decades, a supposed peace process has been ongoing to end this occupation, but instead it has served as a cover for Israel as it further entrenches its control over Palestinians and their land. The occupation and settlement of the West Bank and Gaza were never meant to be temporary. They are simply the latest iteration of Zionism, the settler colonial project being carried forward by the State of Israel. The Zionist movement that would come to found Israel sought to respond to European anti-Semitism by creating a Jewish nation-state in Palestine. Zionist leaders understood that a way to manufacture a Jewish majority was to remove the native Palestinian inhabitants and settle Jewish people in their place. Despite anti-Zionist campaigning by Palestinian leaders, the Zionist movement won support from Britain with the Balfour Declaration in 1917, triggering decades of fierce Palestinian resistance to the colonization of their homeland. This included international lobbying for independence from the British Empire and, in 1936, a massive popular mobilization that began as a general strike and would eventually become the armed uprising known as the Arab Revolt. Despite Palestinian resistance, in 1947 the UN recommended partitioning Palestine against the will of its native Palestinian population, and Zionist militias were emboldened to create a state by force, including through the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. In order to create the State of Israel with a Jewish majority on 78% of Palestine, Zionist forces depopulated and destroyed 500 Palestinian villages, and then denied 750,000 Palestinian refugees the right to return to their homes after the war ended. Today, more than 7 million Palestinian refugees live in exile, prevented from exercising their inalienable right to return to their homes simply because they are not Jewish. Meanwhile, Israeli law permits Jewish people from around the world to immigrate to that same land anytime they wish. Although they were eventually granted citizenship, Palestinians who remained in what became Israel lived under martial law and military rule for nearly 2 decades. Today, Palestinian citizens of Israel remain subject to a system built to structurally disadvantage them, with more than 50 laws that discriminate against them as non-Jews in a Jewish state. Israel's intentions are most clear when it comes to the Gaza Strip, where Palestinians are targeted by a suffocating siege, denied their basic needs for survival, including adequate food, clean water, and electricity, subjected to periodic heavy bombardment, and sealed off from the world, unable to escape. This is a humanitarian catastrophe deliberately manufactured and maintained by Israel. U.S. taxpayers are complicit in Israel's apartheid system through the billions of dollars in weapons that the U.S. gives Israel each year, about $10 million every day, and through the political and diplomatic support the U.S. provides in blocking international efforts to hold Israel accountable. After more than 100 years of Palestinian resistance to Zionist colonization, it is as urgent as ever to join the movement for freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people.